I know that.
All right. Good evening, everyone. So we do not have online meetup because we will be talking all the time, but it will be recorded. So after it will be recorded, we will just cut the beginning and the end so that everybody knows what to expect. But it will be nobody online. All right. So, hello. Thank you for coming on the day where I bet you would be somewhere else here. So really appreciate everybody coming. So welcome to our developer summit. So I honestly think there is like nobody here who is new, so I can skip the slide and just because you know who I am, right? All right. So guest Wi-Fi, like we had little problem this time because yep, things were not really working with the printer. Okay, am I doing okay? And okay, yeah, sorry. Okay, all right. Okay, now we're in business. Okay, so now let's, as usual, start with the short review what's going on in the world of Postgres. So there will be a couple of conferences coming. One is PGCon Dev in May. It will be in Vancouver, and that's kind of one of a kind conference that's where all the Postgres contributors, Postgres developers who actually are making Postgres, they're gathering together, they're doing they're doing talks about all new features. There are like some sprints, there are some like committees workshops, so super cool event. So I will be there. I will be on the community day, and together with Jimmy Angelakis, we will be doing a Postgres standard community event. Then it will be our PG Data in June, PG Day Boston on June 9th. And then it will be POSET, which is online conference. Again, it is free. Sign up. I highly, highly recommend it. And I do not recommend online conferences lightly. So just telling you, they have great selection of talks. And if you sign up, even if you do not listen to the talks at that time, they will be available like forever. And honestly, when I spoke there, I'm not speaking this year, but I got the most feedbacks in my like lifetime from my short recordings at POSET. So very, very, very recommend. All right, so our favorite conference, right? So first of all, not favorite, our Prairie Postgres. So who is not on Discord yet? Tell me, who is here not on our Discord? All right, please join. You know why? Please join because I want to hear from you because communicating through the meetup messages is kind of not cool. It's very slow and it's difficult to have a conversation. And I want to hear from people and I want more like live discussions. So we try to do Slack. Slack is a little bit more expensive than I feel comfortable at the moment. So Discord server is free. You can join general and then Illinois Prairie Park. That is our channel to discuss our events here. And I think you can just catch any of us who is on Discord and just join via QR code. All these things we're discussing, and I hope that we will be becoming better and better. Okay. So, who is not a voting member yet? All right. Sorry, it's free. It's free, and if you join, you will be able to actually influence what we're doing with Prairie Postgres. I think that. So we did not have elections yet, but we are less than 3 years old. So probably like in a year plus, we will have first elections. So again, you will have your say, right? You can sign for newsletter. So Lahita does great job putting together newsletter. So if you miss something, you can find it on the newsletter as well. All right. So PG Data. Nothing new. Who did not register yet? Right. Who did not register for PG Data yet? We are open. Right? We are open for registration. We are open for all ways to participate. So sessions are already announced. We still have sponsorships available. So we are done with platinum and gold sponsorships. We still have silver and bronze if like somebody for any crazy case, like, want to sponsor us, would be not bad. We still accept community partners and academic partners. And we need more volunteers. I know it's kind of like not super good incentive now because all volunteers get access free, but the ticket price is rather low. So I do not know how much of incentive is it, but for serious, we do need volunteers because it will be 2 days free tracks. So we need always one main room host and one standby room host. We will need some traffic control. We will need backstaffing in the morning of Thursday, site setup, site takedown. So I do not have even close to enough volunteers. So please, if you can do something, please sign up and let me know. Okay. All right. So most importantly, again, we need participation. So I can tell you we are now about half of the number of attendees where I wanted to be by June. And most importantly, we would love people to register earlier because we are submitting all our final counts way before there will be actual final counts. Also, if you already registered, you saw that you need to tick this Loyola waiver. So Loyola wants us to have the list of attendees basically 2 days before the conference start. They will always accept last minute people, obviously, but not like half of the people. So if you're planning to attend, please register. It's like a little incentive to kind of speed up the process. We have codes for Midwest and for Chicago. So for Chicago, this is like 10% off. Again, I know it's not a big deal, but this code is good till May 1st. So again, if you didn't register yet and you think that you will be most likely attending, please try to finalize your decision. Would really love to see everyone. So how the conference will be structured one more time. We will have Thursday half-a-day trainings. So training are not required, it's complementary, they're good trainings. So if you want to do trainings, you come Thursday morning. If you do not need any trainings, you come Thursday afternoon. So Thursday afternoon are the sessions and Friday all-day sessions and Friday evening lighting talks. Reception is on Thursday evening, so you do not need to stay late on Friday if you do not want, if you have other plans for the weekend. So everything is kind of, planned for your convenience. So please register. Okay. All right, so now back to our meetups. That's what we had so far this year. So we had Ryan Booth on January, we had Sean Thomas on February, and we had Paul last time. I got requests for this talks recording, so that talk was very popular. And now today we will have a developer summit. But before I go to today, let me tell you what is coming up next. So as I already mentioned to most of you, that's the last time we are doing this location. So starting from May, we are on 1 West Monroe. It's the corner of Monroe and State, 5th floor. And that will be independent place, which I like because I actually would prefer us to be in the place which is not kind of bound to where I work, because so far this meetup was kind of like traveling from one location to another, depending on by whom I'm employed. And when I did not have office in Chicago, we did not have in-person meetups, which is not cool. So I hope that we will find as permanent home there as it can be. The formal meetup announcement will come within the next several days. And for May, we will have Elizabeth Christensen. So she is a Postgres contributor. She used to work for Crunch. Now she works for Snowflake. And she will be talking about like Postgres extension, Postgres data warehousing extensions. It will be kind of more dialogue than her monologue, because I will be also talking about data warehousing and she will be talking about Postgres extensions. Then we will have like Q&A. So I hope that it will be fun. And again, more details will follow. So we will have a new like sign up form. The way how you get to this building, there will be one-time QR code to enter the building on the day of this meetup. So one thing I will be collecting emails where we can send you the QR code. And if you, so just so everybody know, I cannot really access emails with which you registered with Meetup because it's like separation of concerns. So you need explicitly give me the email where I can reach you, send you the QR code. Okay. All right. So now today's event. So today we are doing developer summit. So last year there were more people. Now it's like way less people than last year. And what we need to decide now, we need to decide how many topics in which ones we want to discuss. So I think we have enough people to do at least 2 topics. So let me show you the results of the survey. So that is what I have so far. So definitely the total is more than 100% because people were voting for anything between like 1 and 5 different topics. So that's like our current counts. So first place, obviously using AI with Postgres. Then second is database design for applications and Postgres or NoSQL, and then using ORM. And then there were several there were more than one suggestions about testing. So I would combine all testings at like 22%. So I think that honestly, we should do like 2 maybe. And again, some of you, yes, what's up?
I don't know what ORM is.
You don't know what ORM is? Okay. ORM is Object Relational Mapper. That is the tool which allows object-oriented language to talk to relational database. So like Active Record, like SQL Alchemy, what else? So that's kind of the connector between application and the database. And again, there are several people who said they can do the group leads. So again, there are not that many of us. So let's actually just hand vote who want to discuss what. And if everybody want to discuss AI, we can have like one big discussion. But honestly, for this number of people, I kind of feel like two groups will be perfect. Okay. So let's okay. So let's do who want to discuss Postgres AI?
What do you say?
Number 1, who want to discuss Postgres and AI?
Like who wants to speak for it?
No. Who wants to be in this group? No, not the leader. Who wants to be in this group? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. All right. Then I think should be like, okay, let's still vote because AI, I mean, I no doubt we will have it. Who wants to do database design for application? All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So again, you will need to go to back group. You cannot go to okay. Postgres or NoSQL? All right. Whoa. Okay, I think that's kind of like the second one. So I think especially because we do not have a lead, I mean, I can always do the lead for database design, but I think again, having that we cannot do more than 2 groups. So one group will be using Postgres and AI, and second group will be Postgres or NoSQL, or both combined. I don't know. Okay, so okay, who is volunteering? So, okay, discussion leader, because I got lots of questions about what it means. So discussion leader is basically the person who just keeps the discussion on track, because we all like to complain about hardships of what we're doing and how we're working. And it's very easy. Each discussion can be easily diverted to, like, criticizing certain trends and stuff. So like, honestly, discussion lead is a person who kind of knows what the subject is and directs the discussion. So discussion would be like probably 40 minutes. And I think 40 minutes is enough. And then what we want to do at the end, we want to have a short report from the group about like what they discussed. And discussion leader might put this report, or maybe while you are discussing, somebody else said, okay, I want to, I'm capable, I can do the final report on this topic. So you do not have to be. So, all right. So who is leading AI discussion? Okay, I can pull who said they can. Okay, so, okay, Steve, you can do. Okay, all right. So Steve is doing AI. And who is leading SQL, NoSQL? All right. Okay. So then Steve stays on the left, Robert stays on the right, and AI, NoSQL. Okay.
Talked about Postgres and NoSQL. So summary of kind of our discussion here. The first, I guess, really point of discussion was the idea of NoSQL kind of being defined in the negative, right? So when we talk about Postgres or even SQL databases as a whole, that definition is fairly clear, right? Usually we're going to be talking about the query language, or we're talking about Postgres in particular, but NoSQL is such a broad and varied term, right? We could be talking about things from, Redis to Mongo to Neo4j to, all these different things, Tiger Beetle, So there's a lot of things going on in the NoSQL realm that a lot of the discussion was really based around this idea of like, okay, what use cases are we speaking about? How are these going to apply in these particular scenarios? What's the tooling around that, et cetera? And so really the first thing that we got into here, let me make sure that I got good size. Yep. As we just talked about the variety of NoSQL databases that we've used and what were kind of our experience with them, right? So we mentioned a few different things. DynamoDB was a big one that a lot of people mentioned. Redis, of course, was a massive one. Mongo, Elastic, and I'm going to mention these next two because this one's interesting. We mentioned like Splunk and Datadog, right? Which may not be traditionally considered like a database in isolation. Usually when we think about things like that, they're like these massive systems, these platforms that have a database, they have tooling around them, they have graphs, they have all of these different things kind of coming together to make a whole system, right? And we kind of had a little bit of a discussion about, okay, are we considering this NoSQL, right? Would this be considered NoSQL? And I think overall, did we agree? Are those SQL or NoSQL? SQL or NoSQL? What was kind of it was a little bit of a contentious one. I think we had some disagreement there about whether we should include them, right? We had a few things there, but yeah, we talked about all these different like databases that are happening there, and like the data. Bless you. Whether these like just individual database engines should be considered like NoSQL and like the actual database engine itself, or whether we should look at the overall tooling, right? And really that got into a discussion of query language versus these other databases, because I think one person mentioned that, for example, you could do a lot of NoSQL type of patterns in Postgres, for example, right? With like JSONB and JSON, et cetera. So it's not a very clear delineation about like, where do we put this SQL versus NoSQL line? Well, one person had a very good point. They said NoSQL versus SQL is like choosing your programming language. So the tooling is really important around this, right? So in certain cases, and I think I'll kind of push this into the next point, that most of the use cases that we saw for NoSQL were really never about changing out their SQL or Postgres database for a NoSQL alternative. It's not like they were going from, hey, we're using Postgres, now we're just going to, well, one person they were using SQL Server, Microsoft SQL Server, and they moved over to Mongo. So we did have that example. But no one actually said that, hey, we had Postgres in a system, and then we just swapped Postgres wholesale over to a NoSQL kind of system there, right? But what we saw a lot of was where you would have, let's say, your main Postgres database, right? But you'd have particular use cases in which you would move data off of Postgres or have certain applications that never touch Postgres, but were kind of tangential to it for very particular use cases. One would be like you had dashboarding, right? And you wanted really fast dashboarding. And you might have used something that can get you that. Well, someone did mention ClickHouse. So ClickHouse is a SQL system, but that's kind of besides the point. But yeah, there are kind of these examples of like, oh, you might want Redis for caching, or you might want, let's say you're doing, some type of pub sub. You might use, someone mentioned using Redis for pub sub, et cetera. Those kind of types of use cases where you're not really replacing your main database management system like Postgres was really what we saw with the NoSQL realm. It was really about these particular use cases. We had a few discussions about, there was some pushback arguments about the kind of tooling discussion. We also had really another big discussion we had was about whether application developers should really be caring as much about the underlying data, right? Database, I mean, right? So with the advent of things like ORMs and GraphQL and all these other different systems that are meant to abstract away the database layer from the application developer, right? Should there be as much of at least on the application developer side, as much of a concern about what is the actual underlying data? Am I querying DynamoDB? Am I querying PostgreSQL? Does that really matter at the end of the day if I'm an application developer? So we had some good discussions there. I don't know if we got consensus there. How do we feel application developers? Should they know the database under the hood? Yes, no, yes, no. Yeah. So, yeah, we had a small ORM discussion, but really, I think the discussion really moved towards, okay, we understand that we are using these NoSQL databases. We're just not replacing our entire database system with them. So where are we using them, right? So when I asked, has anyone migrated from Postgres into a NoSQL database? And it was a 0. But what we did see was migrations of data from Postgres into something like a data lake. And I think that would have been, kind of if I were to redo the discussion, one piece where I would want to continue kind of prodding further is kind of not new area, but the idea of like the data lake as something that a lot of people are building on top of. This is kind of becoming a more important part of a lot of businesses and their kind of data stack and data applications having these separate kind of data lakes or systems that are meant to parse massive amounts of data that we're taking, let's say, our more real-time, more current data, and we're keeping that on our really good machines that's running Postgres. But then anything else like we're archiving or we need analytics done, we're going to move that data over to something like, let's say, Snowflakes, Databricks, the list goes on about all these different systems, right? Let's see. We had a few people move from some other database systems that were not Postgres, but who cares about the other databases? Key distinctions was speed was a big one for a lot of people, right? In certain cases, managing the performance of Postgres was, I think, one of those kind of trade-offs where for certain cases, it was easier to just pull a database off the shelf. Like, let's say, I think a Redis was the example, or MongoDB was also an example, where in their particular use case, if they used Mongo for this application, I think it was dashboarding. It was a dashboarding application where if you used Mongo, it was easier to get something set up faster that was going to have better performance implications there. There were a few other kind of bits of performance, but there was a little bit of pushback on that front of like, okay, there might be a performance solution that is easier to get higher performance from, but there's also the realm of how do you get an organization to actually go and tolerate these changes, right? If you've been using Postgres, you grew with Postgres, how do you actually go and say like, hey, we're just going to go and swap over to this new thing because it's going to give us like maybe like 2% more performance in this use case, et cetera, right? There's kind of this discussion going on. That might be another thing to have a further discussion on. Yeah, just hard to get adoption for a lot of these things. We had a little discussion about sharding and how sharding is like a big thing for NoSQL databases. A lot of people would use NoSQL databases when they had to do some type of use case that required a large amount of shard. Ooh, question?
Why is sharding such a big thing for NoSQL?
Well, that is well, so sharding is going to be in general with Postgres. This might be more Postgres specific in general, but well, more relational in general, you might say. Sharding is kind of this idea that, okay, you take your data, and you're gonna like kind of split it up across all these different nodes, and they're across all these different spots, and you're gonna do all these calculations on them. So the nice thing is, well, what if you only need a certain section of your data? Right? You don't need all of your data. Well, if you have a query, you can send that query to this section of data, and then it just executes on that node there, and you're good. And it's really fast and efficient, right? It's less fast and efficient when you have to do that query across every single node of data, and all your data is everywhere. And so you kind of have to do that, and that's a pretty bad situation. So a lot of these NoSQL databases are made to do sharding like by default, like DynamoDB, for example. They'll partition all of your data by keys across all of AWS's infrastructure. And so you can go and have these queries that are going to look at your data. You never want to do like a full like kind of database scan, which you can easily kind of have a little foot gun if you do some bad DynamoDB stuff. But yeah, so a lot of these NoSQL databases are going to kind of have these like kind of performance quirks, like Redis being always in memory, or DynamoDB really being really good for like partition data, or like you could say like Tiger Beetle for time series, or Pinecone for vector, etc. There's going to be these specific cases in which like, oh, wow, maybe we should reach for a NoSQL database rather than going for the traditional Postgres in these cases, right? I forget the discussion that we had on replication delay. I think that's when we were running out of time. But yeah, replication delay is something. And I think the overall summary of what we were saying, which is going to be a little bit of a cliche, but use the right tool for the job, guys. We got to use the right tool for the job. So yeah, that is my summary. Any questions, corrections, concerns?
Kind of like it would to start it, because I think that questions can make it run for
Yeah, we'll take it in the offline.
forever.
Yeah.
I think actually, you know, I do have questions, and I'm sure I'm not the only one, but actually, absolutely, thank you so much for this summary. That was quite amazing. So thank you. And yeah, you know, we still have time. So I think now Steve will do our summary. It's actually super interesting because, like as I said, voting is the opposite. Everybody. So Robert, you know, that's just because of your charisma.
Yeah, you took meticulous notes there, like this was like a Robert's Rules of Order meeting or something. You were taking the minutes. I don't have that level of detail from our discussion. There were a lot of places that we could have gone with the discussion about what to do with Postgres and AI. Like Paul's talk was more about like how you actually architect, a database and use Claude Code to help you with that sort of thing. We didn't touch on that so much. There were kind of two themes that we ended up going back and forth that were kind of the same thing, something that Hetty has done at her job and something that I've done at my job, which was to help people write better SQL queries using AI. And so we've taken two very different approaches. The approach that Hetty did because of the constraints at DRW was an internal large language model that helped start to answer those questions. And they literally fed some of her books into the large language model to train it to try to get some answers back. Now, what I did at my job was a very different approach, which was we don't have those same kind of secrecy rules. So I put a Claude Code wrapper around the source code, and I gave it some, access to the database schema. It could also see from the source code what some of these tables were being used for. And then when you're using your own, chatbot, you can add in system prompts where you give these sorts of context. And so, feed that in there, Also, there were some other higher level documentation that we wrote that summarized, like, this is what each table does. This is the business purpose for it. These are the things to be, careful about. And when you have somebody who doesn't have like a great understanding of your database or even of SQL, and you're having them try to figure out how to run a query, the most important thing is err on the side of asking more follow-up questions. So the personality that I gave my chatbot was always ask at least 3 clarifying questions and go through 2 rounds. And so it's like, well, when you say this year, does that mean January 1st? Does it mean based on the date that the record was created at or the date that the decision was made? And then you give those answers back. And then it says, okay, here is the query that I think, and here are the assumptions that went into this. Is this correct? And so it is always, difficult to, kind of hand over the reins to an AI and hope that they get it right. And yeah, as the grimace that Hetty's doing now, I think what you said was that it was decent, at giving good answers. Now, in Hetty's case, it went into something that I didn't have to worry about nearly as much, which was optimization. So I was, dealing more with regulatory reports and things like that, where it's like you might run that query once every 6 months, as opposed to checking for, I don't know, some exchange rate arbitrage that you can use and suck up the value that you might be doing every 10 seconds or something, in which case optimizations would make a lot bigger, difference. And so if you're doing, optimizations, then you have to worry, add things in like your PG stats to try to get a better answer, which was something that I luckily have not had to worry about, but, you have had to worry about. And so that just adds another, layer of complexity to all of this. So those were just kind of the 2 use cases that we were talking about in general to solve that question. How do you get people to use AI to get their level of SQL from whatever it is to a couple notches above? I'm not sure if I missed. Go ahead, Paul.
Make a connection between the 2 groups. One advantage of SQL is how good LLMs are at writing.
Oh, very important.
For the crowd at home, if I may make a connection between the 2 groups, one huge advantage of using SQL is how good LLMs are at writing it.
Yeah. And that was something that I noticed in my experience when I was getting this chatbot to work was it was pretty good at giving the right answers. So for writing SQL queries, it was pretty good. The thing that I got tripped up on was I could ask a prompt in a way where I was not, saying group by this, field on this table sort of thing, because that would be asking it in a way that a normal user would not be doing. However, when you practice writing SQL queries for years on end, you get good at being precise in your language in a way that regular users aren't. I think that is one of the advantages of SQL, is that it really forces you to think about what it is you're asking. And so when I gave the chatbot to actual customers, or rather actual users, the results weren't as good, because they wouldn't, they'd be like, warning. Well, it's like, is that a warning flag? Is that this? There are a lot of other things that it could be. And so as much as you can try to train data on what you think you should be trained on, the people who actually use it, there's no substitute for that, and actually going back and just, refining it. And so I'm just going to be going through and looking at the results right now when actual users are using it, and just seeing how good it is before we, hand it off. Go ahead.
In your summary, I believe you're forgetting something
Sure.
interesting that you yourself contributed to the conversation.
What's it?
You mentioned in your use cases how you created a fake user with limited access to the data, as well as how LLMs like ChatGPT carry metadata with their queries to the API.
Thanks for reminding me about that. So a couple of things is like, the first step was just like getting the chatbot to return a query to run, but eventually they're going to want to run it themselves. However, you do not, if you're dealing with private data, you do not under any circumstances want to send that data to the LLM. And so create another database user that only has select access, so it cannot make any modifications to your database. And you only grant it select on certain columns on certain tables. So for instance, if you've got, the person's, social security number or something like that, do not grant that user in Postgres. The chatbot that, connects to a certain user should not be able to do anything like that. And then there are other, go ahead.
On that note of security, super quick shout out to PG Anonymize. It allows you to very easily create like anonymous views and stuff like that. So you can give it access to like an anonymized schema instead of, oh, here's all the SSNs. Go have fun, AI. So yeah, just FYI.
Thanks, I'll have to check that one out. The other thing you mentioned was like just optimization, which was like users. A chatbot can come back with a query that will just hose up your database. And so a couple of things there. One is just putting like a limit on the number of rows where you can take your query, wrap it in. It's like with subquery as this amorphous blob, select star from subquery limit 100 or something like that. So you don't accidentally return 2 million rows and blow up all your tokens. And then the other thing is just putting in just a timeout where it's like if that query runs after a certain amount of time, you can actually kill a long running query. If you go into one of the PG, I think it's like PG stat activity, you can look for things that have been there for a certain amount of time. It's like if it's been, I don't know, a minute or something, kill the damn thing, send an error back, tell the large language model, sorry, try again.
Thank you.
Okay.
Oh, I turned the microphone off. Sorry.
I'm doing good. Okay. Thank you so much. I think that was actually a very good discussion. Think that like we learned something from each other, and maybe we have topics for our future meetups as well. By the way, so we again have time, for another hour-ish to finish socializing. And again, next time it's new location, so watch out for meetup announcement. It will come out shortly. We will have new response form, reply form, so be ready for that. And once again, I want to reiterate, I think that during the past couple of years, we formed like very good group. I'm very, 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 very happy to see people who are coming over and over again, who are doing something outside this meetup, connected to what we're doing here. And, I hope that we will be able to carry on again. Prairie Postgres, this meetup, not about me. I care about Postgres, I care about Postgres community, but, this group need to live and let me retire at some point.
This holds together.
Yes.
Thank you. But again, I hope that it, okay, as a person born and raised in authoritarian state, I'm strongly against, somebody holding one post for a very long time.
We'll do a revolution if
No, I actually seriously hope that, within the next 2 years, there will be new generation of leaders coming here. I will be always around. I will be always helping with everything I can help. But again, I hope that a new place will make it easier for everybody to be more a part of this, to help more, from suggesting new topics to carrying drinks, because there will be now somebody and we won't have any storage, we bring things in. We take garbage out, by the way. Yeah, we also need to take our garbage out from this place. I think we will be doing it all right. And again, thank you for being here. Again, you could be at the beach today. I'm truly, seriously thankful for being here. Okay, all right, thanks. Bye.
Water's still 50 degrees, unfortunately.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's until August 15th. About what?